Hello there. Okay, got the right mic now. Hello there, Atheist Junior here, your friend and humble narrator. And today I'm just going to be doing a little, um, just, we'll see who comes on. It's been a long time since I've done one of these, but I just thought, it'd be a good meme. And, I quit. There was a time when I first started doing YouTube, I will say shout out to Amy Newman. That was the very first channel I ever went on the very first live stream I ever went on where I had ever joined and like went live with my microphone because I didn't even have a webcam at the time. And I would like to think I've improved somewhat since then, hopefully. But who's to say? And yeah, so the first live channel, the first live stream I ever went on was Amy Newman. And I can remember there was Oz there. Might have been Mark Reed. I know that was definitely where I interacted with him for the first time. And it was pretty funny, the interaction that we had when we first met, because Mark Reed is such he's like kind of a firebrand person. He's very passionate when he believes, that he's right. And we got into an argument because I didn't know. I think it was the first time I hosted a StreamYard stream like this on my channel. I had no idea what I was doing. And I guess I kept putting Mark in the backstage and not adding him. So, and then like, he was like, after the stream ended, he was like pretty upset with me, but it was, looking back at it, it's pretty funny, but yeah, I'll admit I was in the wrong on that one. So yeah, it's been a long time since I've done one of these, but I just wanted to do a live stream, and we'll see who joins. I imagine it'll be I can guess who will likely show up, but we'll see. So I posted a clip on my channel today of this Wade the Wizard review. I haven't seen the actual debate. I just got sent a clip on my email, and thank you guys so much you guys always keep me up to date on my email, which is, it's on my page. It's the evillotion777@gmail. So if you have any clips or anything, comments, questions you want to ask me, I always try to reply to fan emails. And somebody sent me a clip of the end of that Wade the Wizard debate. And I just think that, and I told Donnie this because we talk on Messenger after I unblocked him, that, it's undeniable that Kent Hovind, however disrespectful you think or he thought that Wade was being, you can't deny the fact that Kent has been equally, if not more, disrespectful to his interlocutors. I hate that word so much. I really do. I really hate that word. Hello to the people in the chat. I mean, Kent Hovind, just look at the clip from, not even bringing up any of my debates, but just look at the clip of him debating Daria, and that's all you need, in my opinion. That is a deeper level of disrespect than anything Wade the Wizard did, even if he did interrupt Kent, which, that's what Donnie claims. So what? You have to. This is the thing. You can't get mad about interrupting Kent. I don't think people should, but the reason that Kent gets interrupted in debate sometimes is because he gish gallops endlessly. You have to cut him off eventually, or the guy will just keep talking. He won't stop. He will not stop. So you either have the choice of just letting him endlessly ramble, or at some point you can either be polite and just say, okay, well, I'm going to wait my turn. I'm not going to interrupt. But it's, at some point you have to butt in. Now, this is what Aaron Ra has said about the first debate that he did against Kent. He classified it as a discussion. I don't think that tactic really mattered in the long run. I know why he did it, but I think it was ridiculous for Donnie to step in as the moderator and be giving Wade ultimatums like, "Oh, show me this paper for this specific topic right now." And then when he doesn't, then you boot him. I mean, I understand it was the outro of the debate, but that just seems it just shows his level of bias towards Kent. And I think it's undeniable right now, and I don't think he can even deny it. Yeah, well, it was his outro, and it just I'm sure. I mean, Grayson. I was talking to Grayson, and he's told me that he showed Donnie this paper, the specific paper that he's been asking for. I'm sure multiple times, because with these creationists, it's like they make the same arguments over and over again, and it's like we give them the answers to their arguments, and it's like they just like will either ignore it, and then the next day they're making the same argument and saying they've never answered this question, they've never answered they've never answered this topic, they've never answered this question. Scientists have never answered this question. Like people like Ray Comfort barge into a university and stick a camera in the face of people like PC Myers and different scientists. It's like, first off, you're not entitled to these people's time. Okay, you're not. These people do not owe you the time it takes to try and explain these topics to you. You're not owed them putting out that effort, because ultimately you're not really going to accept the answer no matter what it is. I mean, I was watching back the video I did on Ray Comfort, where he goes into the college, and it's so deceptive how he edits his videos. Like, maybe I can bring this clip up, because he says, "Oh, I just want one piece of evidence. I want one piece of evidence." And the guy says, "Oh, I've given you thousands of pieces." And yet it's like, well, notice that we don't see that clip of him giving all the evidence. I guess we'll watch this clip of at the Wade the Wizard outro, and then maybe I can watch some of the debate and give some commentary. Let me just bring this clip up. Come on, YouTube. Okay. Let me at the beginning. Oh, I'm going to put the link to join in the chat. I forgot to do that. So I actually I can have more than 6 people join if anybody does come in. Okay. I don't know why my browser is being so laggy. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's the contradiction that, yeah, there's varieties, or it's like the same kind, but there's varieties, and those varieties, they have a limit, but I don't really have a way to determine what that limit is except for my intuition. Are lobsters related to trilobites? What about insects? Is a beetle related to a trilobite? Like, that's the limits that we're talking about. We're not talking about a dog the size of Texas. We're talking about a trilobite, evolving into a scorpion or something very similar, but you're talking about cows jumping over moon. It's just silly. Yeah, I'm pretty spent with this. It was interesting. You know, a lot of people are going to be able to look back on this and have a great laugh and be like, wow, I can't believe that there are people who believe the entire world was flooded and that was God's best plan to do that.
Wade, be respectful to your interlocutor in your last words.
Why is that? Okay, first off, why is Donnie cutting in here? This is true what he's saying, but why is that considered being disrespectful? Because it is. I do think what he's saying is true. And how often does Ken Hovind say evolution is dumb? There's people are going to be laughing at you for believing this. It's dumb. He says that every 5 seconds. So, but it doesn't get called out when he says it. It's okay for Ken to do it. I see. That's called biased.
Words, please. Because you know that you're getting the last words, and so you're trying to get as many freebies as you can. I know what you're doing.
Well, like
come on, let's go.
It's a freebie to say that people find it ridiculous that there are lots of people that believe that the Noah's flood is real, but that's true. I mean, I don't see this. I mean, at least let him finish what he's saying. The belief in a global flood, it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous to believe that. So sorry if people find it ridiculous, but that's what happens when you believe something that's ridiculous. People are going to think it's ridiculous.
So be professional. Are you a true professional, or are you just here to troll? Answer the question. Are you a true professional, or are you just here to troll? Yes.
Hello. How's it going?
Hello. Hey, AJ.
So, how do you pronounce your username?
Ryan. Remember me?
Oh, yeah, of course. I know. Yeah, I know who you are. You've been watching my channel since I first started uploading. I remember when I had like 200 subs, you were watching my videos. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I was one of the first people, and back then, you know, I had more subscribers, but you surpassed me by a long shot.
Yeah. Because you were always putting out content, which, you know, I respect that. Like, if anybody is thinking about doing YouTube, like, just start putting out stuff. Like, that would be definitely that's the best thing to do. Like, I really fall behind in that because I will just take long breaks from YouTube because I won't always have the motivation, to put out a piece of content. Now that I've had my channel for a little while, I don't feel the same pressure to always be putting out content because I've kind of like gotten to a place where I'm comfortable with it. But I'm just gonna finish watching some of this clip and give some comments. But yeah, put out content. If you want to put out YouTube content, just do it.
Answer the question.
Johnny, this whole thing is a joke. You guys are the punchline of everyone's
No,
joke.
the one who's a joke is the one who can't answer any of the challenging arguments to it. But you still don't understand the basic argument to ERVs. Can you present us with a paper right now that shows a non-functional endogenous retrovirus going from non-functional to something as incredibly functional as Kent pointed out? No, don't dodge. Wait, don't dodge. It's a basic question. Show us the paper right now that shows an ERV gaining a function in embryological development. Go. I'll let you respond. Can you present that? Yes or no?
Donnie, you have
yes or no. It's a simple yes or no question. Can you present a paper that shows an ERV gaining the ability to be active in the placenta? Go ahead, answer. Uninterrupted.
I'm not going to do your research for you, okay?
Okay, so wait, the answer is no. So now, like you said, how everybody gets to have fun watching this to see what you said. Well, now everybody gets to see you dodge a basic question on ERVs. I appreciate that. You disrespected me as moderator and host.
The whole body.
You think I'm going to stay? You think I'm going to stay silent on that? We're wrapping it up here. This is the last time Wade's on the show. Kent, You got 5 rounds with Wade. He failed all 5 times. So, anyways, we're gonna wrap it up, brother.
Ouch! Kitten has claws. Well, I don't know where this outburst came from, but I mean, it's almost like it goes without saying that Kent has dodged questions all the time and is not held to this level of scrutiny by Donnie as a moderator. I mean, it's just laughable to even think that. I mean, when has Donnie ever called Kent out and said, "Well, no, wait a minute, Kent, no, you didn't answer that question," or "No, wait a minute, Kent, you interrupted him," or you were being disrespectful to this person when you asked their boyfriend about their genitals. Like, they laughed about that when he debated Daria.
He's such an ass worshiper, Donnie. Like, I don't know why. Like,
Well,
I don't know. Like, for some reason, I always thought Donnie was cool, but no, he is completely a joke.
I mean, Donnie, to me, he seems like when we talk in chat messages, it's like he strikes me as a nice person, but I feel like he's just got this bias for Kent that is kind of shameless, you know?
Yeah.
And there have been debates like my debate against Kent that's called like the heated debate. In that debate, Donnie and Redefine Living, they backed off the entire time. It just let me and Kent go back and forth. I thought that he did a great job moderating that debate because he really didn't step in. And Donnie has told me that I'm one of the people who, when I go on to those channels, usually, I mean, not lately, but he doesn't have to moderate with me, because I will admit that I kind of like lost my temper the last time I was in one of these open mic rooms, because on the Proverbs Guy stream, the moderation there was just a complete farce, and I just got really mad and I got kicked off, and then I kept joining the backstage room, and then Proverbs Guy kept kicking me out, and I may have called him a few naughty words in the chat, and then he banned me. So I didn't have the best composure, but I mean, that the moderation was ridiculous in that stream. And yeah, Brad Pitt, let's not idolize this 4-foot tall Scientologist. So let's, receding hairline living, living with a receding hairline. When I do my videos, there's always one person in the chat who says, "Oh, Kent has great hair." I'm like, does he have blue highlights? No.
I always think he has a widow's peak.
No, that's not a widow's peak. See, a widow's peak is like Bella Lugosi playing Dracula. It's like it goes in the middle of the forehead to a point. Yeah, that's not a widow's peak.
I mean, I have a widow's peak.
Yeah, but I guess you could say that.
Everybody was joking me about having a widow's peak, but I don't care. A lot of people do.
Well, I just think thank the Lord that I'm not balding. Because I think it's something like 1 in 3 men goes bald basically, or starts balding. Like, I have a friend who I've known since high school, and he started going bald when he was 18. So he just shaves his head.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. I'm going to make sure that the link is in the side chat if anybody else wants to come in. But I was saying earlier, like, the creationists they think that they're entitled to the time of, it's like how Kent says, he always wants to challenge everyone to debate him. He wants to challenge scientists to debate him. It's like, you're not entitled to anyone's time. Or when he says that, I'm doing a making babies video, like, no one has responded to this. It's like, Kent, you're not making content. Making good content takes time, and you're not entitled to people's time. Just because somebody hasn't made a video responding to your making babies video, it doesn't say anything about, you know, the community of people who watch you who disagree with you. You're not entitled to their time. They don't have to make a video just because you made one. You know, they don't have to make a response video to you. And plus the fact that me and Big Bad Mama did make a video responding to Kent's Making Babies series. And I told Kent about this.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. And he just, you know, wanted to make a gay joke instead of acknowledging the fact. Because I got annoyed because he always says like, oh, you know, no one's responded to my Making Babies series. It's like, well, and I told him, I was like, I made a response video, and because I wanted there to be a public record of the fact that somebody has told Kent this, so that the next time that you see him say it on his video, you know, there'll be proof that he's lying.
I would like to see paleontologists debate with Ken, like Dr. Darian Naish, who actually was in Arn Ra's live stream a couple of years ago. I don't know if you ever heard of him or not.
I don't think so.
Dr. Darian Naish is a paleontologist who studies cryptozoology and tetrapods like vertebrate type animals. In the video, they were talking about our birds, dinosaurs, of course. And I would just love Darian Naish to destroy Ken Hovind.
Oh yeah.
The angry cat.
Yeah, this is a good screenshot.
Yeah. In that picture, you look like you're like, holy shit, Ken's back or whatever.
I look like the cat.
Oh, really? You just look like you're frightened.
Yeah.
You're like, oh shit.
Because evolution is a means. Theism says there was an agent. I have one high school biology teacher, Christian, here. It's like, please, would somebody make this clear? I know this is like really important because kids come home from biology class, high school, like, well, you know, but evolution, no, we don't believe in evolution, we believe in creation.
Your smart-ass attitude is not going to get you into a good college.
Wait, hey, hang on. This is very important.
This is even more important. There's not the slightest evidence for Darwinian evolution. Wrong! I know because I asked the experts. I pressed evolutionary professors at UCLA and USC for any evidence, and they floundered. They couldn't think of any.
We have thousands of examples.
Can you give me one?
I can give you thousands.
Just one. You said before that there is lots of evidence for evolution. I just want one observable evidence for Darwinian evolution.
No.
Just one.
But I gave you some. You don't want.
Not some, I want one.
See, notice how he says that I gave you some, but we don't see this video clip of him giving these examples, the way that it's cut. And this is not my editing. This is how the original video was. We don't see what he says. We're just seeing that, you know, I gave you lots of pieces of evidence, which I'm sure he did. You know.
One.
Wait, you don't want that.
I want one. Yes, I do. I'm pleading with people.
You asked me to tell you. You asked me to tell you when I've watched one species evolve into another. Isn't that right?
No, one kind into another. There's 14 different definitions of species.
Kind.
So I want a change of a kind. That's not a change.
Okay, this annoys me because it's not that there's 14 different definitions of the word species. There are multiple definitions, but why would there only be one definition of the word species when think about how many different types of life forms there are on the planet Earth? You know, how could there be one definition of species that would encompass all of those different biomes and all those different organisms? Like, you can't have a species definition that accounts for macroscopic multicellular organisms like cows, as well as single-celled bacteria. It just, you have to have different definitions. So it's like, it's funny to me how they consider it a negative that species is a word that has a complex meaning. It's like, that's not a fault of of evolution or science. That's just how the English language works.
Yeah, it yeah, like when you're talking about, a species, it's very important. You can't say the word kind. It it doesn't work like that.
Well, especially for the fact that it's just one category. So clearly, they're comparing the word kind to species, but species is part of a criteria. It's under an umbrella term where you have um, genus, family, order, class. You have these other categories that split it up or are more specific than species, but you don't have that for kind. So that creationists, when you ask them what kind is this animal, it's like they have a sliding scale. They'll move the goalposts to say, oh, well, in this example, kind means order, but in this example, for this animal, it's this kind is a species or a genus. It's like, well, which word has multiple definitions now?
Yeah, like just doesn't make sense, for them. Like, I don't know. It's like talking to a wall with these people.
Indeed.
Change of kinds, is it?
It is a change. It is a change in the genetic makeup of the bacteria, which
They're
is
still bacteria.
when you say change of kinds, you mean the evolution of one species from another or to another. Yes, we have that in action actually in the Galapagos.
Could you give me one instance?
Yes, we have an example from a group of birds called Darwin's finches.
What do the finches become?
They become genetically new and anatomically new, recognizably different species.
So they're still finches?
Well, of course, they're still finches, yes.
That's just so aggravating.
That's like the dumbest questions. Are they still finches? Yes, they're finches. Like, it's still finches. It's just dumb.
Okay. Oh, okay. So we got it. This is my absolute new favorite channel. I cannot stop watching this guy's videos. Oh, he just broke 100 subscribers. Well, congratulations to Russ's Movie Corner. Good for you. I cannot stop watching this guy's videos. I don't know if you've seen him before, but let's crack into it. Ooh, the finale.
Oh, Matt Powell.
Yep.
Never heard of him in a while.
Yeah, he still pops up.
Hello and welcome back to Russ's Movie Corner. My name is Russ, and as you can see, I am sitting in front of my movie corner. I have my Armor of God t-shirt on, my Son of God movie right next to me, and judging by the frame around me, we are back, taking down another atheist. And again, today on the chopping block is Scam Man Dan and his video, Creationist Has Proof of Noah's Flood. In the last episode, right when we ended, Scam Man Dan was trying to sit there and say, hey, where's your master's degree, Matt Powell? How do you know that these rocks are the way they are? And I said, well, it's pretty simple, Scam Man Dan. Notice the folds around me, okay? You can't bend rock, okay? You might be able to deform rock slightly, but you're never going to be able to bend it. Not like you see it on the screen right here, okay? And so the problem comes in when people like Scam Man Dan don't really understand geology, the processes of geology, how things form, nothing like that, okay? Scam Man Dan is one of these people who likes to think he knows what science, ! Trademarked, actually is. Okay? He doesn't, but he likes to think that he does. And
I mean, any material can be deformed if every material is flexible to a small extent. There's certain types of sandstone that if you cut a long, thin slab of it, I think it's idacolumite, it's flexible if you cut it into thin slabs. We might have to get Big Bad Mama in here when he's talking about geology, but rock. They're talking about bending rock when it's hard. I don't think this is when this would have happened. We would have been talking about rock that was much hotter and softer, that cooled down later into this formation, or was bent over a gradual and very slow time period. Because if you try to bend something quickly, yeah, it's going to break, it's going to shatter. And at the microscopic level, you can bend rock.
Sorry about that. My phone
That's
died.
okay. Oh, it's okay.
Because of this, he likes to throw around, some different things. And I'll say this. There are a few things that he has said and done over the years on his channel where, especially when it comes to flat earth, where he has talked about legitimate things. But that doesn't mean that he knows exactly what he's talking about or exactly what's going on with science or with anything. So honestly, if you're going to listen to someone like Scam Man Dan, you're gonna have to try to understand what processes are which, okay, and how things happen. Because you cannot fold rock, hard rock, like this, okay? Now, you can fold it when it's soft, and then when it hardens into rock, then it hardens into rock. And again, we know this doesn't take millions of years to happen, okay? Because we've seen that happen in floodplains and stuff like that. Flood, deposits a whole bunch of sediment, and then the layers down below harden up and become a new layer of sedimentary rock, okay? It doesn't take millions of years. So
But at what scale are you talking about, though?
I have no idea.
let's jump back into this and let's see where Matt Powell is going, because we just got done with Dan, so I'm sure this is going to bounce back to Matt Powell.
And that's why they're all perfectly bent many times. And you can see these beautiful photos of mountain ranges that show that they were created by a catastrophic flood and not millions of years of geological time. And that's why you find polystratofossils connecting all the layers. That's why you find whales on mountains, clams on mountains, sea life on every single mountain on Earth. Why? Because the earth was flooded. Because by the word of God, the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water. Because the world that then was, that was overflowed with water, perished.
Okay, great. So the Bible states that all high areas were covered, but...
Yes. And
can we let Scam Man Dan finish his sentence? Also, I think Matt Powell really could use some lip filler. And hello, Beamsy, how are you doing?
This is creating much pain and agony.
I can imagine. I'm sorry to cause that.
See how it's perfectly folded? Yes, with fracture lines and partially incurred fault lines. Yes, that was done so perfectly. Right.
Like, let's look at the rock at a microscopic level, because I think it's kind of fascinating, but you can take a rock and cut it down thin enough to where the light will actually show through it. And you can actually, I've seen videos about this where they will turn it in a microscope and shine the light through different parts of it. And you can actually see the different rocks, the different rock strata in different layers overlapping each other.
Just so you know, one of the key pieces of equipment that you actually bring out in the field is literally a small microscope that you can actually take a sliver of rock to give you a better idea of what you're looking at.
Right.
That is one of the most key pieces of equipment that you actually bring in there next to your rock hammer.
Yeah. I those videos are really cool. It's quite beautiful, actually, but let's Let's see what.
In fact,
Kent hates this guy.
I'll prove it to you, Dan, because obviously you've never actually read this passage before. Okay.
Uh-oh. Somebody get this guy some nasal spray
or a mic filter.
Sounds like he's snoring.
Maybe he has a deviated septum from doing too much cocaine.
Genesis chapter 7, starting in verse 17. For 40 days the flood kept coming on the earth, and the waters increased, and they lifted the ark high above the earth. The waters rose and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the surface of the water. They rose greatly on the earth, and all the high mountains were under the entire heavens were covered. The waters rose and covered the mountains to a depth of more than 20 feet. It's like 15 cubits.
Oh, really?
Okay. Or about 6.9 meters. Every living thing.
Oh, I just heard the best quote from Kent Hovind in his new video yesterday. He said, I'll fight against the metric system until the day I die. I just thought that was the classic Kent Hovind quote.
Till the day I die.
Yeah.
All right.
Thing that moved on the earth perished: birds, livestock, wild animals, all the creatures that swarmed over the earth, and all mankind. Everything on dry land that had the breath of life in its nostrils died. Every living thing on the face of the earth was wiped out, men and animals and all the creatures that moved along the ground, and the birds of the air were wiped from the earth. Only Noah was left, and those who were with him on the ark. The waters flooded the earth for 150 days. Now, we're going to jump over here to Second Peter, because this.
I just like how Simon Dan has not even gotten a full sentence out, and we're already quoting full Bible passages. I mean, it's just, if you've seen this guy's videos, it's exactly what he does.
Well, how about we start quoting Leviticus? I'm sure they would agree with everything that comes from that.
Oh yeah, but everything on earth except Noah was dead. Can you imagine how disgusting the water must have looked outside of that boat? The amount of corpses that would be floating in that water, it would be pretty disgusting, I think. I mean, geez, I mean, that's kind of horrifying to think about.
Yeah, and what about all the aquatic life? How did that get killed? And
well, they don't have nostrils.
Well, whales do.
That's true. This is actually interesting. I asked Kent about this because in dolphin embryo, they have two holes that are on the front of their head. And as the embryo ages and gets bigger and matures, that hole moves to the top of the head and congeals into one hole that becomes the blowhole. So I think it's a perfect example of Evo Devo, where this is mirroring the front-facing nostrils of a land-dwelling chordate whale ancestor, and how that moved to the top of the skull to become a blowhole. And you can track this. Scientists can actually track this movement in millimeters per millions of years in these fossils of the cetacean line of fossils. So I just think Evo Devo is a really interesting line of evolutionary biology, because you have cool examples like that. And I asked Kent about this. He had no explanation for it. You know, it just said, I'm sure God, I'm sure there's a reason God designed it that way. It's probably pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool.
Has Simon Dan debated with Kent before?
No, he's never done a debate with Kent that I know of. I would like to see that.
That would be so cool.
Yeah, the aspect
this is important.
If you look at the fin-type whales, like the blue whale, they still have two individual nostrils, and it looks like nostrils when they expel, and the only difference is it's got something to seal it.
Not to mention they have legs too. Well, depending on the species of whale.
Yeah, not all of them do. some have vestigials. The right have none at all. They don't even have a pelvis.
Yeah, but I know that like during mating, they hook one another when they use the back fins or legs when they're mating. Even some of the prehistoric whales like Basilosaurus that they hook on while they're mating.
But most of whales don't actually have the hind fins at all.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you got to be careful using the word legs. I feel like when you're talking to a creationist in a debate or in stuff like content like this, I feel like, you know, we should be really careful with our language because they will latch on to something like that. And we should, I think they that's their right. You know, I think we should be held accountable for the language we use because it's important. You know, we're trying to be accurate with the terms we're using. And I think, you know, it's like when I see a National Geographic article that says the fucking Big Bang was an explosion, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, stop saying this shit.
Yeah,
it annoys me.
It's a point of expansion. It wasn't an explosion, and you can't really describe it as an explosion. When the universe shifted from a hot and dense to a cool and sparse.
Yeah.
Not to mention,
I don't want to derail the topic, but that's why whenever I talk about the Big Bang, I never talk about anything like singularity or like trying to even go like, oh, what happened like pre Big Bang. I just say like, well, the scientists know that the universe is less dense and less hot now than it used to be, like, because that can't be denied. So I prefer to, you know, stick with statements where I know that this is something that really can't be true. It's like saying that all the religions on earth, all of their holy texts were written by men. No creationist or no religious person can deny that fact. It's a fact, you know?
Yeah.
Important. For people who want to support Dan and want to look at this geologic time and go, oh, well, yeah, what does your Bible say about that? It says this. First of all, you must understand that in the last days, scoffers will come, scoffing and following their own evil desires. They will say, where is this coming he promised? Ever since our fathers died, everything goes on as it has since the beginning of creation. But they deliberately forget that long ago, by God's word, the heavens existed and the earth was formed out of water and by water. By these waters also was the world of that time was deluged and destroyed. By the same word, the present heavens and earth are reserved for fire, being kept for the day of judgment and destruction of ungodly men. Now, I can already tell you that what's going to happen is when I press play, Dan is going to say, well, but what about Mount Everest? And what about the Andes? And what about all these mountain ranges that we see today? Okay? And we'll get to that in 1 second. But I can already predict exactly what he's going to say.
Everything that happened in the Bible happened in this little circle.
No, it didn't.
Owned.
No, it didn't. Okay? Because, like, Paul went all the way to Greece and back through Turkey, okay? And then on to Rome. So, no, Dan, what you're trying to say is that in the Old Testament, okay,
Oh. That was weird.
Is it just me, or does he seem to pause a lot?
Yes. Oh, yeah. If you haven't seen this guy's videos before, it's pretty rough watching it.
He talks way too much, this guy.
Yeah. But I'm waiting for him to get angry because that's when I really laugh at these videos.
Yeah, talking too much is not the issue. It's just when you don't know what you're talking about and talking too much.
Oh, yeah, we're going to see that.
I can't wait.
Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the flood wasn't a global flood. Because I can predict he's probably going to say, well, then, Noah just probably experienced some local floods in the area. Really? Then why would God?
Yeah, possibly in the area of the Iraqi floodplain. I wonder if that's a coincidence that it's named that.
I'm not going to derail, but I should say, if you really want to see some interesting geology about floods, have a look at some of those floods, because they've got some valves there that are 5 or 6 meters in depth.
Yeah, I will look in. I'll look into that. I'll research that.
Would God have him build a gigantic boat to save a bunch of animals? Huh? Why wouldn't he just say, hey, you know what, Noah? Pack up all your family, pack up all your possessions, take some of these animals out of here, and go move north, or move south, or move out to the east, or move out to the west. Why wouldn't he tell him just move? Why would he have him build a big, gigantic boat? Come on, man. Seriously. Think about it for a minute. If this wasn't going to be a global flood, why would he have told Noah build a big boat? Why wouldn't?
Is Noah the only person who owned a boat at this time?
Did Noah build it all by himself?
Well, no, his 3 sons did, and they were apparently giants, according to Ket.
Oh.
And most importantly, why is the word of ark used in the same thing for the Ark of the Covenant?
I don't know. I've never thought about that.
Yeah, the same...
ark means a vessel, right?
A box, an implement of carriage. That's normally what it refers to. So why are they referring to a box when it's now a boat?
Well, and Ken Ham's boat-shaped building, the Ark Encounter, they actually have a little video display that shows a animation that some poor animator had to do of a box-shaped ark sinking, and say, and this is debunking why this wouldn't work. A box wouldn't actually be seaworthy. They actually made a video of that.
Yes, that's what we're saying.
Why wouldn't he have just said, go move to another place? Go move 10 valleys over and you'll be safe. I mean, that is the most idiotic logic I have ever heard in my life. And I've heard many, many, many atheists, including Scam Man Dan himself, make this argument multiple times. Okay? It is absolutely idiotic.
Right here. How do we know that the Andes were covered?
Well, because the Andes weren't there, you moron. Didn't I just predict he was going to say that? Didn't I just predict he was going to say that?
No. You just said that you were going to predict what he said, but you never actually made a prediction that I heard.
Yes, I did. In fact, go back about 5 minutes. I'm dead serious. Actually, probably less than that. Probably about 4 minutes. Okay? In my video, right before this section, okay, where I said, I'm going to predict exactly what he's going to say. I predicted that he was going to say, well, what about the Andes? What about Everest and the Himalayas? What about these mountain ranges? What about those mountain ranges? They weren't there. The earth was much different back before the flood than it was after the flood. Because people like Dan here, they think uniformitarianism. And that is just a gigantic word that's basically saying the same thing that it says in 2 Peter. Okay? The present is the key to the past. That whatever's happening now must have been happening for billions of years. And this is the point that Matt Powell was making, because Kent Hovind has made it numerous times on every single one of his creation science evangelism videos. The mountains would have eroded flat in 14 million years. So if these continents are truly millions or billions of years old, there would be no mountains. Because
why? Why would they have eroded flat? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah. One thing with this guy is a lot of times you'll just see him make statements and not really substantiate them or explain them. Like when he just says the Bible has mountains of evidence from archaeology and anthropology for it. Like, okay, well, what is that? He never says.
Because those mountains would have eroded flat by now. Okay? And if you were to smooth out the earth, all the dirt on the earth, smooth it all out, okay, so that it was just one gigantic smooth ball, the ocean would cover the earth like Europa, okay, to a depth of like a mile or two. Okay, there's a hell of a lot of water on the surface of the earth, and all of that water used to be in the crust of the earth. Again, see Walt Brown's hydroplate theory, okay, because that's the best explanation we have, because there's still water and it's still coming up through springs in the deep, okay. Like, we still have vents down below that are releasing water into the oceans today. Okay? So Dan's idiotic statement here of, well, did you think it ever, covered the Andes? No, because the Andes weren't there, dude. The Andes didn't get created until after the flood.
How do you know?
Okay?
Yeah. Saying that they weren't there, I don't see how you can simultaneously say that they weren't there, but also that the floodwaters reached the top of these mountain ranges. That's what I'm not getting.
Yeah.
And see, this is the exact point that they make when they use this passage in 2 Peter chapter 3. Okay? They will say, where is this coming he promised? Ever since our fathers died, everything goes on as it has since the beginning of creation. That is literally Peter predicting uniformitarianism coming along. The present is the key to the past. Everything that we see today is what happened for billions of years. No, it's not. No, it's not. And
okay, I guess we can throw physics out the window then, because if physical processes that happen today could have been radically different in the past, then how can we know anything about physics or about geology or anything in science if we don't know that our theories and our measurements today are the same as they were in the past? How can we really do anything in science? I don't think you can.
And the proof is right there in black and white, son. So I'm sorry if you think you know what happened billions of years ago. You don't. Okay? That's the point. You can't know that layers of dirt are billions of years old. Okay? Because
yes, you can. And these are rock layers, because the reason you can is because of radiometric dating, which gives I forget the term, but it's like exact dates or
precise dates.
Yeah.
But that only works on igneous rocks, so you'd want to get bracketed ages if you go to sedimentary deposits. But the big issue with what he's saying is, he said that, the mountains will wear down in 14 million years. Okay. Why is Mount Everest growing at a rate of about 1 to 2 centimeters a year?
Yes, absolute dates. Thank you, Dan. Yeah. They don't, creationists, they don't factor in, or they don't understand tectonic processes at all. And yet, yes, this guy is 100% legitimate. Like, he absolutely believes the stuff that he's saying. He's 100% genuine. It's
because, as discussed in the previous part, you can't know that because the problem is that radiologic dating doesn't work.
Radiologic dating? I don't think it's the term. Oh, it just doesn't work flat out. Well, I guess we can fire all of those scientists and just, find a different job, guys. This guy, Russ with 100 subscribers, says that you're wrong. So,
So I need to find a new job?
Yes.
But how are people going to find oil? How are people going to be able to use maps to get around if we don't use the processes that we already know work?
I think creationists will present an alternative to fossil fuels. You know how they're a big fan of, green energy. So
hopefully it doesn't turn out like the company in Israel that used the word of God to find resources.
Just and that's the point. Okay. And most of the time, they don't use radiologic dating to date the layers. They use fossils to date the layers because they have so-called index fossils that they look at and they say, well, see, if there's a Tyrannosaurus, like we talked about before, there's a Tyrannosaurus in this layer. So that one layer is 65 million years old. There's a Triceratops. That one's 130. Here's one that contains this animal.
Technically 66 million years, because 65 million years is when after the asteroid came. So 66 million years is when the asteroid did came.
Oh, what's a million years between fronts?
Animal, that's 250.
Why do they keep making the bad comparisons between relative dates and accurate dates? It's just no.
I like how he keeps saying radiologic dating. Like it's radiometric dating. Didn't this guy say at the beginning of the video that you should know your terms if you're going to be talking about something, and that shows that whether or not you know what you're talking about? I think he said something like that.
At least he's not using the term of radiocarbon dating.
True.
That's the point. And it becomes circular reasoning because you ask, how old is this layer? Oh, it's 130 million years old. Well, how do you know that it's 130 million years old? Because it has this fossil in it. Okay, well, how do you know that that fossil is 130 million years old? Because it's in this layer that's 130 million years old. It's circular reasoning to come.
It's only circular if you discount radiometric dating.
Now, would you like me to give a proper answer to the question?
Go right ahead.
If you asked how old this layer is, you would actually ask, okay, where is this layer located and why are you asking about it? If you say you found a trilobite, you could easily say the trilobites are only found within this region and these are the only times that we've found it. And so we can say confidently that, yes, it will be from that period of time. If you have found an igneous piece of rock, we could run radiometric dating on it, and we can get a precise date of it once we get through the bracketed regions of where it could actually be. Oh, look, I didn't say that the fossil dates the rock and the rock dates the fossils. I gave him two different ways that we could find out the relative age of it.
Well, this guy's shouting and yelling more, so I think he's probably got the better argument.
I can yell, but I must wake the cat up, and then I'll get bitten.
Worth it.
To come up with why they think these layers are millions of years old, when, as discussed in the previous thing, where was Charles Darwin's master's degree? Where was Charles Lyell's master's degree? Charles Lyell wasn't even a geologist. He wasn't even a scientist. He was a lawyer, for heaven's sake.
Good thing the geologic column and the field of geology wasn't founded by one person. I mean, who cares about these people? Like, this is 150 years ago. It's irrelevant to modern day geology and modern day science and what we know now. It's just nitpicking at people that they think are way more important to atheist and evolutionist arguments now. Like, I don't really care about what Darwin said. Like, yeah, obviously he made critical advancements to evolution, but the field has changed so much in 150 plus years that it's kind of irrelevant to criticize and nitpick at what Darwin might have said all the way back then. It just kind of doesn't seem worth even arguing about.
And Darwin was a Bible college graduate who couldn't get a job because he was lazy. And yet, these are who Dan and the other atheists of today are propping up as these masters of science! Exclamation point trademarked. Because it's absolutely idiotic to think that these guys knew what they were talking about at all, ever. Because geology...
Yeah, it's absurd to think that Darwin knew what he was talking about. I did a whole video talking about this idea of Darwin couldn't get a job and he was lazy. Darwin was selected to go on the voyage of the Beagle because he was a great naturalist and because of the work that he had already done collecting and organizing and writing about different insects and
birds.
I don't know if he had written about barnacles yet, but mollusks, all these different he was recognized for his talent as a naturalist. And and they say, Ken Oven likes to say, Darwin's dad wanted him to go on the voyage of the Beagle because he was such a loser and because he wanted, so he wouldn't have to like spend money to feed his loser son. And it's like, no, Darwin's dad, his father did not want Darwin to go on the Beagle. He had to be convinced by his cousin Josiah to allow Darwin to go on the voyage. He didn't want him to go. So that's just totally wrong. And Darwin was well educated, even if he had dropped out of medical school. He was knowledgeable in the relevant fields. That's why he got recommended to be the naturalist on that ship. Like I said, it's just irrelevant.
Before that, I heard that he was a young Earth creationist.
Well, maybe not a young earther, but he was a Christian, and
he was a Christian. My mistake.
And it is true to say that some of the things that he discovered about evolution did shake his faith because he found evolution to be very cruel. Like I think, like the wasp that will lay its larvae inside of an insect like a cockroach, and it'll burrow its way out when the babies are born and killing the host, and then they eat it for food. He found that very brutal, which obviously it is. There's a couple different examples of that. I think one is the parasitic wasp, which is pretty cool, the emerald wasp. And he found different examples of evolution that he found very cruel and that didn't seem like a loving God would have designed it that way, which makes sense. But it doesn't invalidate his scientific findings. And again, the field has changed so much since back then. I don't know why they like to. It's just because Darwin is kind of like he's so iconic to the whole field and story of evolution that they kind of have to try and take him down a peg, So I get it, but it is kind of annoying.
It's also the mindset that they have their God, their one target. So by right, we need to have just one target for them to take down to make it fair.
The actual science of geology, okay, was literally just people would walk along, see layers, and go, oh, that's proof of the flood. Until Charles Lyell was like, I hate the Bible. I'm a virulent atheist. And guess what? These layers are now not thousands of years old. They're hundreds of thousands of years old. Ha ha ha. Joke's on you. How? Why? Oh, because I said so. That's not a reasoning, but that was what Charles Lyell did. Okay? And the point is that people like Dan are going, hey, this is great.
I like how in his own example, he said that Christians just looked at the layers and said, these are thousands of years old. Like with no evidentiary, no evidence to back it up. Yeah, later, Ryan. Thanks for coming aboard. If anybody else wants to join, I've got the stream link pinned. So let me know if you want me to pause the video, Beamsy.
It's all good.
Because it allows them the freedom to do whatever the hell they want sin as much as they want, and guess what? There's no consequence for it. Because see, because these are layers that are millions and billions of years old, guess what? We don't have to be good. We don't have to do anything. We can do whatever we want. That's literally what this is all about. It has nothing to do with anything else other than they just don't want the Bible to be true.
I have no idea what that noise was.
It was something going past.
It was an act of God.
And I'm here to tell you, son, it is true.
The Alps, or the Himalayas for that matter.
Didn't I just say that too? Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Answer? You don't.
Because they weren't there. I already said that. So's Matt Powell. So's Kent Hovind. So's Ken Ham. So's every other creationist out there, dude. We never said that they were there. That's the point. You absolute freaking moron. Why is this so difficult to grasp? In fact, I mentioned it in one of my previous videos. I've mentioned it numerous times. Geologists now know that you cannot get mountains the size of the Andes or the size of the Himalayas by slow, gradual uplift. It has to happen rapidly.
I'm going to have to ask for a citation on that one, son.
Yeah, I didn't learn anything like that when I was doing my courses, so did I skip a day or something?
I mean, didn't he just say that rock can't bend that, that fast? And now, so mountains can't form by slow processes. They have to happen, instantly? What does that even mean? What is the relevant amount of time to you punching your own hand? What does that correlate to? It doesn't mean anything.
Okay?
Okay.
Because the problem comes in that you would not get the uplift where you expect it. Case in point, look at the west coast of the United States. While there is the Sierra Nevadas and the Basin Range, what's the biggest mountain range in continental North America?
The Rockies?
The Rocky Mountains.
What do I win?
So you're probably thinking, how did those get there so far inland when there's no known folds and faults that we can see? Well, it's pretty simple. That's a case of slow uplift. Because while the plate slams in, the ripple happens on the backside. And that causes it to fold up back here more than it does over here.
Okay.
I'm still waiting for a
That's
coherent answer.
The point. The Andes were made very rapidly.
I thought he said mountains couldn't form slowly. Uplift couldn't happen slowly.
Oh no,
Or is that
they
just
do
today?
happen. They happen slowly when it suits him.
Ah, I see. Yes, I am also confused.
Between the two plates slamming into each other and then uplifting. The same thing with the Himalayas. Okay? Now, I haven't studied European geology, so I can't tell you where the Alps and the Pyrenees and all that fit in. Okay?
I honestly think if two tectonic plates collided with each other at the speed he's talking about, it would cause a mass extinction event. I could be wrong on that, but I mean, it would be pretty destructive, I would have to think. Beamsy, what do you think?
Yeah, by the way they're talking about the velocities, you would have multiple aspects of Ophelia's favorite extinction event happening at the same time, whilst some interesting earthquake would be occurring.
Right, and tsunamis. So, what's the plural of tsunami? Is it? Do you add an S on there or no?
No, it's just tsunami.
Okay, yeah, you'd have. I'd imagine you'd have multiple tsunami in different parts of the earth. If you had tectonic plates, going over each other or colliding with each other that quickly, again, he's not given an actual unit of time. It would be highly destructive. So,
okay, I just haven't studied it, so that's on me. Okay.
Oh, thank you for admitting that.
One thing that interests me is
the thing is that I have studied the Ring of Fire.
Go ahead.
I didn't know there was European geology. There must be American geology. I didn't know about all that. I thought it was broken up into fields of specializations, like my field of stratigraphy or a field of interest of mine, volcanology, not by region.
Well, where's your master's degree, sir?
I got mine from the University of Queensland.
I see. Is that accredited?
Yeah, it should be.
Okay, well, carry on then.
Because living on the West Coast, that's kind of important for everyone. Okay? Because we have the most volcanoes, we have the most earthquakes.
Is that true? Most on Earth? I was just asking because at the beginning of the video he was saying like, where's Charles Darwin's master's degree?
Yeah, but the aspect of the most amount of earthquakes is actually around Japan, that sort of region. And
yeah,
my master's is a master's of earth science and dynamics, so that's where it is.
That's interesting. Well, I'm glad that I have somebody who knows what they're talking about on this stream.
Well, I've actually got a doctorate of geoscience and physical geology that I finished last year.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Yeah, I got that from the University of New South Wales. That one was a bit of a mind screw. I would have loved to have gone for volcanology, but I had to go for stratigraphy because my conditions.
Hillhugger, are you talking about the Russell in the video?
Because we've got the most faults, okay? It's just what it is. And the earthquake in Christchurch is a good example of that, okay? And so, yeah, the Andes and the Himalayas were likely created when they slammed into each other and then went like this, okay? So, yeah, they weren't there, son. And that's the point. Good luck trying to refute that, because when you start actually studying geology, you'll start realizing, oh, the geologists know that this couldn't have happened slowly over millions of years. It had to happen rapidly. In fact, there's been speculation that the Indian plate.
We can actually figure out the impact force if he wanted to actually make it that it only happened in a short amount of time. The longest it could have happened would have been 2 months because of the way that the flood he's representing was. So we've got a period of time where you would have distance of travel, then we'd have to figure out with this viscosity constant along the lithosphere, we would have friction values, and then we can figure out how much force would be impacted on the two of them colliding. I can do the math if you want. I don't think you're going to like the numbers, though.
Yeah. And wouldn't there be values on the Richter scale that are recorded, and we can go back and look at those and see like how big these impacts would have been and what time frame they would have happened over?
The numbers you're actually talking about is similar to a cometary impact, and you would actually find things like shock quartz as a result from it.
Right. And can't they detect it if something like this happens? Can't they detect it on the other side of the Earth from, like Earth? Like if there, I think if like there's an earthquake, they can detect on the other side of the Earth, like the magnitude based on the sort of shadow of the
P and the S waves. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So he's being very general here. And I still don't understand his main argument. So maybe if I watch a little bit more, I'll get it. I'll be enlightened.
Yeah,
plate was going about 30 to 40 miles an hour when it slammed into the Asian plate, creating the Himalayas. So, sorry, Dan, you don't have a leg to stand on.
And I think that the most powerful argument of all is the fact that we find 10-mile thick pieces of rock from the Earth's crust that have been subducted rapidly 500 miles down into Earth's hot molten mantle. This rock that we've found that's 10 miles thick, it's still cold even though it's surrounded by 5,000 degree molten rock.
Those subducted plates are still 500 degrees C. They aren't cold per se.
Dude, relative to the rock around it, it's cold, okay? Because it hasn't had enough time to heat up and melt. That's the point, Dan.
It actually is melted, but what they're detecting is actually variation in the densities because they don't actually know what the temperature is. There's no way to detect temperatures using seismic waves, you dunce.
Yeah, and this is rock it's very dense, and it's got, because like you said, there's water in the crust of the Earth. It's got water in it. I think that would help keep it cool. And these processes are happening over a much slower time than he wants to admit. So I think that's why you can have gradients like this. Although I think he's exaggerating about, Matt Powell is exaggerating about the temperature here. And the subduction is not as rapid as he's claiming it is. Because if it was, then yeah, like you would probably have it heating up a lot faster. But because this is very dense rock that's got moisture in it, and subduction is happening slowly, that's why you have these gradients, I think.
But here's an interesting thing: the loose plates they're talking about, they actually think they're part of Theia.
What does that mean?
Theia is the planetoid that actually rammed into Earth to make the moon.
Oh, okay.
There's they released a couple of papers last year that they believe that some of those plates are actually the remains of Theia.
Wow. That would be awesome.
So yeah, they've heated up to 500 degrees C, okay? But they're not 5,000 degrees, you absolute moron. That's the point. I mean, are you that much of an idiot that you can't even understand the difference between 500 and 5,000? That 5,000 is greater than 500, so ergo it's colder? Do you not understand that cold and hot are just relative to each other? Because...
Well, I mean, I think one of those is relative, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know how this is worded, but it's like, I mean, heat is just the only reason that anything is not, as cold as the temperature in outer space is because of the vibration of molecules. So coldness is just a lack of heat. I think that's what they say, right? They're not, I don't know if they, well, it's not important.
Because if I go in and I boil water in a pot, okay? And then I take like a pack of noodles that are room temperature. The boiling water is 212 degrees Fahrenheit, 100 degrees Celsius, if you want to use your stupid metric crap. So,
see, they hate the metric system for some reason. I don't know why.
100 degrees Celsius. Okay, I dump that shit in there.
Whoa.
Okay, I dump in the noodles. What happens to the water?
Beamsy, you want to field this question?
I'm sorry, I'm figuring out the sheer forces of what he actually was talking about, because I'm starting to get the area of the Andes, and now I'm working out the density of the rock in the region to give me the mass by velocity.
Okay. Well, I mean, I would say that the temperature of the water would barely be affected by the noodles at all. It might be lowered slightly, but it would be minuscule to even measure.
It stops boiling for a few minutes. I haven't changed the heat settings. Nothing like that. Okay? It's because I've taken a gigantic pack of spaghetti noodles that are at room temperature, whatever that room temperature might be. Okay? For me, it's 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay? And I dump that into the thing. Now, if I took a thermal camera, okay, and pointed it at the boiling pot of water, the water would still be really hot, but the noodles would show up like either a warm yellow or possibly starting to turn a little blue, okay, compared to the water, because the temperature is different. That
I don't know about that. I would say that it's not so much the pure temperature of the noodles. It's more of the fact that pasta is very dense, and so it's going to have a pretty high thermal mass, a lot higher than liquid water. So when you add in a whole like a pound of noodles, you're going to distribute that heat a lot differently than it was before you added them. So it's not just how hot or cold the noodles are. It's about the thermal mass of the noodles that you've added, or whatever object you're adding into a pot of boiling water. It's probably going to stop boiling.
Yeah, the analogy he's trying to make, Logos, is the boiling water is meant to be the magma, and the noodles is meant to be a slab of the earth. But it's a very, very bad comparison, because the noodles have no water in them. The noodles also have a lot of gaps around them, and they're incredibly porous themselves.
Right.
So the thermal equilibrium would be ascertained very, very quickly. The best example to have, you'd have to find a thermal insulator, because those slabs are very, very high in silica, and they do have water in them, but as hydroxine. And because they're under immense pressure, the comparison falls apart, because the only thing that is similar is cold thing and hot thing, and that's about the only similarity. The reaction's different. The interaction is also different. The speed in which the temperature variation we do, the critical temperature of each of the components are also different. Sorry.
That's okay. It happens sometimes when watching these videos.
That's what's happened when you have something that's subducted down like this, okay, way down into the deep into the Earth's mantle, okay, and it's not the same temperature as the surrounding rock. In fact, here, let's go back really fast and let's look at this thing for a second, okay? This says P-wave tomography under Tonga Trench, Pacific Ocean. The blue shows the colder ocean lithosphere descending down into the mantle to a depth of nearly 700 kilometers, 435 miles. The white dots represent earthquake foci. Now, you're probably wondering, what are P waves? What are S waves? P waves are the primary waves, okay? That's generally when they have an earthquake, it sends out primary waves, okay? Those waves we can measure. That's how we know what the Earth is like, okay? And as you can see, this thing down here, okay, is way cooler than the surrounding thing. Because here's why I called Dan Scam Man Dan. In physics, we don't say this is hot, this is cold, okay? When you say hot and cold, you're talking about relative temperature, okay? Where something might be extremely hot in one area and something else might be a lot colder, even though it might still be warm compared to, like, say, normal, the normal atmosphere of the Earth, right? Okay. Our normal operating temperature for humans is between, 70 and 90 degrees. Okay.
No. If your body is 70, if your average body temperature is 70 degrees, you would be dead. Like, flat out. You would be like deep hypothermia. So, yeah.
Our body heat is 98.4, 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit is the typical for our body. Okay. That is what your body optimally is at. Okay. And having an air temperature of around about 50 or 70 degrees Fahrenheit, okay, keeps that internal temperature regulated. Okay. Because if you get too hot, you start to sweat. If you get too cold.
I missed what he said. What did he say?
He said that the outside temperature is what keeps you regulated. No, it's your body's thermal regulation characteristics to keep your temperature at 96.8 degrees Celsius. Fahrenheit,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. Like half of the calories that we ingest from eating food is just, even if you're just sitting still doing nothing or sleeping, your body is burning a lot of calories just to keep you warm.
Yeah, what he was describing is an exothermic reaction, and we're endothermic.
Yeah.
Inside eating, sorry.
Yeah. He's talking about like lizards.
Yes,
Cold-blooded
exothermic.
animals.
Cold, you start to freeze. Okay.
I'm gonna rewind this.
That height is 98. Will be
I just have to rewind this part because this was so stupid.
Yeah. And cold is hot, this is cold. Okay. When you say hot and cold, you're talking about relative temperature, okay, where something might be extremely hot in one area and something else might be a lot colder, even though it might still be warm compared to, like, say, normal, the normal atmosphere of the Earth, right? Okay. Our normal operating temperature for humans is between, 70 and 90 degrees. Okay. Our body heat is 98.4, 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit.
I don't, even 90 degrees is way too low. I don't understand what is the distinction between our bodies operate at this range and our average body temperature is 98.6. Like, what is the distinction he's making there? I don't see how those two can be both true at the same time.
Height is the typical for our body. Okay. That is what your body optimally is at. Okay. And having an air temperature of around about 50 or 70 degrees Fahrenheit, okay, keeps that internal temperature regulated, okay? Because if you get too hot, you start to sweat. If you get too cold, you start to freeze, okay? So, yes. But all temperature is it's the measure of the amount of excitement in molecules. That's it. Okay? So when you turn on your heater, because it's wintertime, you turn on your heater, the heater's blasting, you feel that warm air come over you. You're feeling the movement, the excitement of said molecules, okay? And those molecules bounce off your skin, okay? And you feel that as heat because those molecules are really excited and it creates friction along your skin. And you feel
I'm not a heat scientist, but I don't think this sounds very accurate.
Feel that as heat. It's the same thing as if you take your hands, okay, slap them together, rub them back and forth like this, right? Friction, okay? That friction warms up your hands, okay? Because you're.
But what friction is being imparted by hot air molecules from a heater being blown on your skin? Is that causing friction? I mean,
a little bit, but not to the point that he's talking about.
You're exciting the layers of skin between your hands.
Oh, were you going to say something?
Would you like to know how terrifying his plate tectonics is? I've just worked it out from...
Oh, yes. Please share. Share with the class.
Well, for every second that's going on, it would be the same as detonating 30 million kilograms of TNT.
Wow. Now that'll be some warm air.
No, but this is the impact of the Andes Mountains that he's talking about, and I've rounded down. I'm not rounding up. I've rounded down. So, yeah, I figured out how much Newton force is what it needed in the chat, and then I converted it from Newton meters to kilograms of TNT, and it came out as 30 million. Well, 31 million and some change, but who cares?
You've been doing math this whole time, haven't you?
Yes, sorry.
That's okay.
Back and forth like this, okay? And the faster you do it, the more your hands warm up, okay? And then if you stick one on top of the other like this, it feels warm, doesn't it? Okay? That's because you've excited the skin layer, okay? And it brings blood to the surface, okay? Which causes it to heat up. Plus, you've actually heated the air in between the ridges and bumps and everything on your hand, okay? You've excited those air molecules. So when you put that over your hand, okay, it feels warmer, okay?
Okay.
Because you haven't done anything on the backside of your hand. So the backside of your hand is still at whatever the ambient temperature is and whatever your body temperature is, okay? And because your skin layer is contacting the air.
No, our skin and our bodies are not the same temperature as the ambient temperature. Again, this is like for cold-blooded creatures, not humans.
Yeah, someone's misunderstanding the aspect of thermal friction and thermal radiation. Like, if you stand by a fire and put your hands against them, your hands are going to get warm. Are you rubbing your hands against the fire? Or is it the heat radiating from the fire that's actually being imparted onto your skin that's making it warm? I don't know. How about you?
Yeah, and at no point have we even mentioned like the reason we feel this is because of nerve endings. He kind of skipped that part. That's not important.
And what about when you breathe into your hands?
That temperature.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
What about when you breathe into your hands? Is your breath making the friction in your hand as well?
He seems to think that hot air causes friction on our skin. I mean, that's what he said.
No.
Temperature is right there on the back of your hand. So when you put your hand on top of the excited molecules of your hand on the back side of your hand where the molecules aren't as excited, you're feeling that warmth. Okay? And your body is transferring that warmth into the back of your hand. So for Dan to stand there and say, well, it's still 500 degrees, but it's not 5,000. That's the point. Okay? That crust, okay, that subducted crust that came in here was subducted so fast that it hasn't had time to melt yet, because it is not as hot as the surrounding magma. The surrounding lithosphere is 5,000 degrees.
No.
The rock has heated up to 500.
That's below the lithosphere, so he's already wrong there.
Yeah.
The lithosphere is the boundary between the crust and the mantle, so no. It's penetrated the lithosphere. It's into the mantle. That's why it's 500 kilometers down.
Yeah.
500 degrees, but it's not at 5,000, so it hasn't melted yet. And it is still being pushed down, which is why you're seeing all of these earthquakes down here, really down deep inside the mantle, is because it's still being pushed down.
No.
Because it's subducting underneath like...
What's actually causing those earthquakes is because the former crust is now actually being pushed up on the boundary layers between the two mantles. It's actually releasing water. That water is vaporizing, and that's actually what's causing the variations in the viscosity within the magma and the lava. And that's what's creating the earthquakes. It's not the actual motion of the plate itself.
Right. That's why I was saying, like, it's the opposite reason of what he's saying. It's not because it happened so fast. This didn't happen as fast as he's claiming it is, and it happened like most geologic processes happen very slowly. And this is rock from the Earth's crust that has lots of water in it. That's helping it stay cool, or as cool as it is, relatively cool or cold. And because it's so dense. But he's claiming it because this happened really fast, like how the Andes Mountains were formed from, I guess, two tectonic plates like hitting each other really quickly. That's why this hasn't had time to heat up, because this happened so quickly. Everything happens fast for young Earth creationists.
Well, now let's go through the issues with these problems. The majority of subducted crust is oceanic crust. Oceanic crust is usually under a couple of kilometers of pressure of ocean water, so it's already incredibly compacted. And because it's already underwater, it actually can hold a lot of water as well. Now it's actually being pressed down and being pushed under more pressure. So with the aspect of both the pressure that it was already under and now the pressure of the mantle pushing against it, what chance do you think a non-porous material would have of being melted incredibly quickly?
Yeah, exactly. All right, let me let's quick play on this.
Like this, and it's still pushing down at the bottom. Okay, because behind it, it's being traffic jammed in. That's the point, Dan. It happened so rapidly that it hasn't had time. If this was billions of years, it would have already melted by now. Okay? In fact, it would probably have melted back up to almost ground level. Okay? Or where it's being subducted level. That's what I mean by ground level. Okay? It would have probably, if it had been billions of years, it probably would be right around in here, would still be, you know, kind of, because that would be the new stuff being subducted. All of this down here would be gone. So for Dan to sit there and say, like it's some kind of a major own, oh, it's 500 degrees C. So it's not 5,000, and last time I checked, 5,000 is greater than 500.
Well, I've got an interesting question for one of his statements. He said if it's traffic jammed, if it happened quickly and it's being traffic jammed, wouldn't the pressure be taken off of it because it's moving so much slower?
Right. Yeah.
So why is it being pushed when it's happening so much slower? So therefore, there shouldn't be earthquakes. There shouldn't be all that great pressure against it.
Yeah.
Or did he misspeak?
I don't think he would admit to that.
Got it yet? I need you to understand this, Dan, because you're not a geologist. You're not even a scientist. You don't even understand what the implications of that particular subduction zone means. It means that rapid geology is a thing and that the Earth isn't billions of years old. Okay? And that when this plate hit and started to subduct like this, okay, it went so fast, it was moving so fast that it projected down into the mantle so far that it hasn't melted yet. That's the point. Now we're going to hear this part again.
It's still cold, even though it's surrounded by 5,000 degree molten rock.
Those subducted plates are still 500 degrees C.
Like I said, like that's supposed to be some kind of an own. 5,000 is more than 500. Again, Dan. Which,
you know, I don't think it's true that this area of rock is molten. Like the area that this subducts into it's still rock. It's not just like liquid hot magma. Like I think creationists think that once you get past the Earth's crust, it's all just lava. Like the mantle is still rock. It can be very hot, but it's still rock.
Which means that you don't even understand that they're talking that Matt Powell is talking about the thing subducted so fast it hasn't had time to heat up yet to 5,000 degrees to melt, or maybe 1,000 or 2,000 degrees to melt. Okay, because it displaced so much around it, and who knows how long that plate of rock is and how wide it is, because judging by that graph, it's pretty damn thick, which means it's going to take a while for it to actually heat up to the point where it's going to melt. Okay? Because just like if you were to take a paper clip, let's say, okay, you stuck a paper clip and then you took a blowtorch, okay, just a regular blowtorch. You go, how long is it going to take you to melt that? Not very long, right? Okay. But if you had a pretty thick ingot, right? Maybe it's a few centimeters thick. Maybe it's about, 10 or 20 centimeters wide, and it's about, 30 long, okay, and you heat it up with that blowtorch.
How many cubits is that?
You'd want it in cubic
It's going to
centimeters
take
to make it a bit easier.
Yeah.
a lot longer, right? Okay, because there's more molecules that need to be heated up. Now, the outside layer will start to melt long before the inside of the thing melts or the bottom of it melts. Okay? But that's the point. You have a lot more molecules, it's a lot denser, and it transfers heat a lot better along it. Okay? Which is why it's only 500 degrees, being that if that happened at around the time of the flood, which was 4400 BC, and we're now at 2080, okay? Think about it.
That paperclip, it won't melt if it's zinc plated or it's nickel plated, or at least not very easily. And like, what? Again, we're talking about thermal mass of an object, and like how big of a paperclip, how thick of a paperclip. I can imagine some pretty big paperclips that would not simply melt from a torch, or at least it would take a long time. So his examples are just bonkers.
It's only been down there for around about less than, well, about 5,000 years or so. Okay, about 5,500 years. And that's the point, Dan, is that there hasn't been enough time. Okay? It's been sitting down there for so long, and it displaced things so fast that it just hasn't had time to properly heat up and melt, because it's probably so big and it was so thick that the outer layers have been eroding away slowly as the heat has reached it. But it's so big, it's so thick, that it hasn't had time to completely melt fully away, which is the whole point, Dan. If it's billions of years old at that point, it wouldn't be that far underground. It would only be maybe at most 100 degrees.
I wonder what would happen if we gave him a tungsten carbide paperclip and then told him to melt it with a blowtorch.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, what kind of paperclip are we talking about here?
Tungsten carbide is around a 4,000 degrees Celsius melting point. Blowtorches cannot get anywhere near that.
Yeah, especially like a blowtorch from like a gas station or something, like, because that seems to be what he's talking about. Because examples are never very specific, you know? It's always just very generalized.
Yeah, well, if you use the tungsten carbide paperclip, you would sit there with the blowtorch and you'd run out of gas before it even starts getting red hot.
Yeah. He's saying it would melt. I'm like...
Bigger, 100 kilometers at most. So by standing there and saying, well, this is this, you don't know, son. You have no clue what is going on, because your mind is so stuck on the uniformitarianism crap that when you see something like that, your first instinct is to say, well, it's still 500 degrees C. Last time I checked, 500 is greater than 5,000. And it doesn't matter at that point if you're using Fahrenheit and Celsius, because 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit is still way hotter than 500 degrees C.
Okay. I don't think that's true. Right? That sounds blatantly wrong.
Let's have a bit of fun. I'll get a boiling piece of metal at 500 degrees Celsius, and we can get another one at 5,000 degrees Celsius. Offer them to him and tell him to put his hand in each of them and see if he can tell the difference.
Well, he said that... Hold on, let me rewind this. I need to hear this again.
Because your mind is so stuck on the uniformitarianism crap that when you see something like that, your first instinct is to say, well, it's still 500 degrees C. Last time I checked, 500 is greater than 5,000. And it doesn't matter at that point if you're using Fahrenheit and Celsius, because 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit is still way hotter than 500 degrees C. Okay?
So he's saying 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit is hotter than 500 degrees C, which would be about 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
5,000 degrees Fahrenheit is higher than 500 degrees Celsius.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard to understand what his arguments even are sometimes. Okay, there are no other factors that are relevant in this situation except for the two temperatures. It doesn't matter how much thermal mass an object has, or how dense it is, or the moisture content that's within it. It just, the only thing that's relevant is the outer and inner temperature. Okay. He's just oversimplifying to a ridiculous degree.
So, no, son, that's not what it is.
They aren't cold per se. But what would be the reason for them being cooler? Perhaps the fact that they were oceanic plates? Could it be that?
No. Because they know the Juan de Fuca plate, which is subducting under the state of Washington right now, okay? It's what fuels Mount St. Helens, Mount Rainier, all the other mountains that are there, okay? They know that that plate doesn't go down to a depth of this.
Who is they?
Okay? They know that.
Who cares about that other plate? We're talking about this example. And who's they? Like, who are you talking about?
If you
because
want
they've
to know,
measured the plate.
That particular plate that he's actually showing is the one that goes under Japan. It's the one that goes up into that strange volcano in North Korea.
Oh.
That's where that particular plate is. I know, because I've studied the damn thing, and that's why I could recognize what he was talking about.
Yeah, but Simon Dan asks, could the fact that it's oceanic crust have anything to do with it? He says no, it couldn't, because of this other plate that goes under this U.S. state doesn't go as far as this plate that goes under Japan. How is that a good answer to his question?
Especially that, why don't you bring up that geological data to show that, okay, this is a different sort of plate, because it will actually show something very, very different to that.
Numerous times. In fact, when they had back in 2001, when they had 2001, when they had the earthquake in Seattle, which was actually kind of down towards the south end, more towards the south end of Puget Sound down by Tacoma. But still, the point being, it was over there, okay? It was underneath Puget Sound is where the actual epicenter was, and it was way down deep inside the earth. Because that's where the Juan de Fuca plate was subducting under the North American plate like this. And they know because there's a rock.
Yes, we got Grayson in here.
Yo.
Hey, Grayson. Oh, okay. Now the party can really begin.
Well, I've missed all of the context to know what we're going over. Sorry.
Okay.
I mean, new Curb Your Enthusiasm came out. I had to do it.
Yeah, and no, True Detective is a great show. What we're talking about, the Earth's crust, the oceanic crust, subducting into the mantle of the Earth, and why it's, quote unquote, cold. And the creationist argument is, they use this as an argument for the flood, saying that, oh, well, this happened. The Earth can't be billions of years old because this oceanic crust would have heated up and would have melted. I almost want to rewind some of the video, but I guess we'll just I'll rewind a little bit of it just for
we don't need to. It's fine.
Yeah, okay. Just some of the stuff he says in this video is hilarious, but yeah, we'll just keep going from here.
Rock that is blocking the plate like this. Okay? And that's what caused, because this is where the earthquake was, okay? Right where that rock formation is, okay? That's how they knew, because I learned about that when I was in Geology 101, son, okay? And they said that the plate, the Juan de Fuca plate, is only down a max of about 100 kilometers. Even though it's an oceanic plate, it doesn't go down that far, because what happens is that typically speaking, when it's a slow-moving plate like the Juan de Fuca plate, it melts and then it comes up into the volcanoes. Okay? Because the plate goes down far enough where it melts and then it comes up underneath the volcanoes in the Cascade Mountains. So look at where the Juan de Fuca plate is, where the boundary of the Juan de Fuca plate is, and then measure on a map exactly how far it is to there, and that's how far down it is. Okay, because it's going like this. And that's where it's melting, son.
In accordance to the Casadeo subduction zone, the Juan de Fuca plate is actually down around 600 miles.
Yeah, and again, like, I don't know why he's bringing up this other plate that's under, what do you say, Wisconsin or Wyoming?
No, it's under like Cascadia, the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, it's the North American plate and the Juan de Fuca plate. The Cascadia.
Yeah, Washington State.
But like, so far, only from what I've heard since I've joined, like, he's not radically off base with. So far, I haven't heard anything else. But like what he's describing with like the Juan de Fuca plate, like subducting underneath of the North American plate, and then like that contributing to like volcanic activity around like, you know, like Mount Hood, Mount St. Helens, like that area, like that. I've also heard that before. I have no idea how this connects to his whole Noah's flood BS, but I really don't understand why he's just going over the points like this.
Yeah, he has a bizarre style of argumentation, but like the key question is why is this crust this temperature? Why is it this cool? And their argument is that, well, this subduction happened so fast it hasn't had time, or his argument, it hasn't had time to heat up and melt. And what I've been saying is that this is oceanic crust and it's extremely dense. So it's the water content in it and its density, and the fact that the subduction and because geologic processes don't happen really fast, they happen slowly, is the reason that you have a gradient like this. So we'll see, you know, what Russell says. He's very angry.
Now, yes, you have magma that is coming up into these volcanoes here, okay? But that's magma that's being churned up from the fact that the plate subducted so fast, okay, that it displaced a whole host of the magma up to the surface, okay, which caused those volcanoes to erupt, okay, because it pushed that magma towards the surface. So it thinned the crust a little bit, okay? That's the point. That's what the study of geology is all about, son. So no, they know that slow-moving plates like the Juan de Fuca plate, okay, don't go 700 kilometers below the surface. They only go a maximum of 1 to 200 kilometers. And that's the maximum, okay? Now, this plate has since slowed down and it is now melting away. But like I said, it moved so quickly, okay?
Well,
so
if you
no,
want
being
to,
an oceanic...
if you want to actually discredit that big time, this is the topographic review of the Juan de Fuca plate. The Juan de Fuca plate goes down to 800 kilometers. Whatever. What do I know? Those topographic scans don't know anything, and okay.
Do you want me to show this?
It's up to you, but you can share it in chat. That way, at least they've got the same thing to actually dig through. It's a topographic analysis of the Juan de Fuca plates, and they show a ionosphere that goes down to 800 kilometers.
I mean, isn't the thing that this guy has on screen right now? I mean, this is not Juan de Fuca, but like this is an example. It's going down to like almost 700 there.
Yeah. This is why I don't know why he keeps bringing up this other plate, because this is under Japan, and this is Matt Powell's example.
He won't bring this one up because he's trying to say that the Juan de Fuca plate only goes down 200 kilometers. No, it goes down as deep as that one. That's why they won't show it. Because the Juan de Fuca plate is a slow-moving plate, but this one under Japan was a fast-moving plate and just stabbed down deep. No, if you look at the two of them, they look pretty much identical. I wonder why.
Oceanic crust plate doesn't mean that it's going to subduct that far that fast, okay, over billions of years. Because the plate would be creating the exact same earthquakes at the level that we would see it, like here on the Juan de Fuca plate, which is between 1 to 200, okay? That's where we would be seeing most of the earthquakes, not at 6 to 700, okay? That's the point, Dan.
What I think is funny is that he said that the Juan de Fuca plate is melting, but I'm reading on this geologicalsurvey.gov website that says oceanic crust forms by eruptions along the Juan de Fuca ridge. As the plate drifts eastward, it cools, becomes more dense, and eventually dives under the less dense North American plate. So it's like the exact opposite of what he's saying.
And that's what you don't understand. And that's why you're Scam Man Dan, is because you don't even understand the basics of geology. Okay? This is 101 level stuff, son. This is not like master's degree level, okay, geology. If you've had a basic geology 101 course in a college, you should be able to grasp this. Okay? And when I went through, we didn't have this kind of stuff. Okay? Because testing the P waves and doing all of that kind of stuff was still relatively new. I mean, that was 20 years after Mount St. Helens, literally. Okay? And they found that using seismographs at that time, they were starting to figure out that using seismographs, they could actually start mapping the interior of.
Can you pause it here, AJ, and go to the Wikipedia article I just sent in the chat?
Yeah. I was just going to say real quick that P waves were discovered in 1936. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, but so this wiki page, maybe this guy could educate. I would just like to say, this is geology, son. This is the Wadati Benioff zone. It's like a literal zone where earthquakes occur during like a down moving slab in a subduction zone. Exactly what he's talking about. You can see in those images where the earthquakes happen. And what do you know? It says that the foci may be as deep as 670 kilometers. Wow, look at that. So this guy is literally full of hot gas.
He's full of magma.
Yeah. But I mean, like, look, you can literally see, like, in that second, that second figure, they like have it mapped, like, from actual data, like where, like, the distance along the profile of the slab versus its depth, and yeah, you could see earthquakes happening all the way down the profile of the slab, and a lot of them happening like it below 600 kilometers. So
he said that he said that 200 was the maximum, son. The maximum.
It starts a lot at the start, and then there's a dead zone in which there's enough compression to actually stop the water to inside the slab from being released, and then it gets down deep enough where the temperature rises enough to again start allowing the water that's been caught in the cracks to be released again. And then if the plate turns, and then you get another big cluster of them. That's why they're in two clusters.
So is this dead zone this gap right here?
Yeah, it's an area of about 100 kilometers in which there's not enough heat and too much pressure to allow for any water to really be released to change the viscosity of the magma.
So he says that that 200 kilometers is the maximum depth. So it's like this is where it stops, but then it starts up again. That's kind of funny.
Because then it gets hot enough for the water to be actually released again, and the water changes the viscosity of the magma, which then allows it to actually move, and again, friction.
Yeah, and as we all know, friction. The reason we feel heat on our skin is because hot air blows on your skin, and the friction, it causes friction against your skin, and that's why we feel heat. I would love to replay the part for Grayson, maybe in the offline of when he's talking about temperature and why we feel heat. It was pretty funny.
No, my brain just like dripped out of my ears just listening to you just now reciting that. So I don't think I need to recap from this guy.
Okay.
Yeah, trust me, Grayson. It's just going to be what?
It was pretty good.
Over the last 23 years, okay, they've slowly over time started to map the interior of the Earth, and they finally figured out that there are a hell of a lot of things like this. Okay, this is not, I mean, this is something that they would not have known 40 years ago. Okay, after Mount St. Helens. They didn't know that this plate was that big. This, again, like other things, like Mount St. Helens, like other eruptions, like other earthquakes, have shot holes in the theory of uniformitarianism being the key. Okay? Because
What?
no geologist...
What? Did he say it shot holes in the theory of uniformitarianism being the key? What fucking theory is that?
That the present is the key to the past.
What theory is that? What the fuck?
I don't know. I mean, it's classic that they misuse the word theory. I mean, that's a great creationist greatest hits, you know.
How does this even poke holes? Like he's saying that this is evidence that the past followed different laws of physics than the present. So like, how is this at all in any way evidence of that?
Yeah, and if uniformitarianism isn't true, then how can he say that 200 kilometers is the maximum depth that one of these will go? Well, maybe that could change tomorrow, you know?
I know that I joined late, but I'm going to guess that he has not actually shown any math or any calculations showing that such a plate should thermally equilibrate in like I don't think that he's done that calculation of like when he would expect that to reach thermal equilibrium, has he?
No, Beamsy has done some math in this stream, but this video, how it's showing here, this is how it's looked the entire video. He just, and he's barely played any of it. Like this, he's only, you see how it's 7 minutes long? He's played like probably 1 minute and 30 seconds of the video.
And he's been talking for 45 minutes?
Yeah, or longer. This guy, it's ridiculous how long-winded he is. But I laugh because it makes me laugh when he gets angry and yells. I just find it funny.
Yeah, but the math I did was to figure out how much force would be released in his statement of the Andes plate crashed together at 30 kilometers an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guess how much force was involved in that?
Probably several megatons.
Yeah,
30 megaton detonation every second.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's fine. Noah's Ark could withstand that.
Yeah, I love those heat problem calculations where they figure out how many nuclear bombs going off per second it would be. I think it's hilarious.
This was just the impact. I haven't even looked into anything like the friction that would be required against the lithosphere or anything else like that. That was just exclusively the force of the two plates colliding.
Well, see, I was gonna say that that the two plates colliding would destroy the Earth, but I held back and I said that it would just be an extinction event. I guess I was actually right. It would destroy the Earth, basically.
Listen,
anytime's over.
If Indiana Jones can survive a nuclear blast in a refrigerator, then Noah can survive several orders of magnitude more heat energy in his ark, okay?
Yeah, it would be an extinction level event because for every second for about a month or two until it's finished, it would be like either a Nagasaki or Hiroshima bomb going off.
Jeez.
Not very big in the standard of things, but it's still a lot of force, but it's continuously happening. It would be boom, 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 boom. But it would be spread out along the 6,000 kilometers. And yeah, that would screw up a lot.
Grayson, I'm sad you weren't here when Donnie came in and was fighting with people in my side chat.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'll be right back. I just gotta go grab something.
Who's worth their salt is going to say that this plate is billions of years old at this point, or even millions of years old, because we know, because of what we've observed from the Juan de Fuca plate, we know that this plate can't be that old. It just can't, because it's too cold relative to the surrounding rock. That's the point of saying hot versus cold. It's not, oh, the plate is absolutely frigid temperature, okay? And so when it's subducted, it's just, it's taken billions of years to heat it up to 500 degrees C. No. It doesn't work like that, son. Okay?
I like how he always calls everybody son. That's why when I go into this guy's comment section and ask him questions, I always address him as dad. Like, hey, dad, can you answer this?
Well, the thing
he has not replied.
The interesting thing is it will be my 10th birthday in about 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. His spiritual birthday or his real birthday?
Literal birthday.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, he hasn't done any calculations to show when he would expect for this plate to have reached thermal equilibrium. So like, he's just asserting that he thinks that it shouldn't be a colder temperature because he just thinks that.
Well, it hasn't had time to heat up because it subducted so quickly. He knows that
he hasn't done any calculations at all for like when it should equilibrate to the temperature, to the other, like the rest of the temperature of the mantle around it. So
billions of years, but no, he hasn't done it. Maybe if we keep watching, he'll give us some math. I'm sure
somehow I doubt that.
You're a pessimist then.
Because if this thing had been subducting, it would have had to have been well below zero. Okay, probably approaching absolute zero for it to be like that.
Did he just say it would have to be approaching absolute zero for it to be the temperature it is today?
Yeah, and if I could just give you a taste of what he was talking about earlier with the human body, he said that the range of temperature for a human body is 70 degrees Fahrenheit to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. I was like, no, you would be dead. You would be
Fahrenheit?
Yeah.
What?
He said that's
what? Okay, yeah. I mean, maybe if he's like including dead bodies in his sample to establish that range. Even then, though, it's like, why would he stop at 90?
I know. And then he said that, and then he said that our average body temperature is 98.6, which is like, I don't see how those two things can be true at the same time. Like, it's outside of the range.
Yeah,
just gave.
I'm just gonna give him. You know what? You said I was a pessimist, but I'm going to optimistically give him the benefit of the doubt, and just for my own sanity, assume that he misspoke. Because if I have to think about that anymore, like I'm gonna get as dumb as this guy.
Over billions of years. Okay. I mean, and we know that, like, space is, I want to say, negative 200 or 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. And we know that down at the bottom of the ocean, because I mean we've measured temperature down there at times. We know that it's cold, but it's not. We know that it's not freezing because it can't, the ocean currents and everything still move. But it's cold. Okay. I mean, heck, most of the time the surface of the ocean is around about between 38 and about 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. And down at the bottom of the ocean, like way down below, like say where the Titanic is at on the bottom of the Atlantic, it's cold. Okay. It's in the 30s, but Fahrenheit, but it's close to freezing, but it's not freezing because
my
the water,
God.
the water still moves.
This guy never gets to the point, does he?
No, he's extremely long-winded.
I think that he just confused Kelvin for Fahrenheit when he was talking about the temperature of outer space.
Yeah, and you would never use Fahrenheit to talk about the temperature of space.
No, I have no idea what the temperature would be in Fahrenheit, but yeah, it's only a few degrees Kelvin.
It's minus 453.8 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, so he was only off by like 200 degrees.
Did he say 200 degrees Fahrenheit?
Yeah,
Fahrenheit,
he said
like
negative 200 to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what he said. So
okay, he said so. He did say negative. Okay, yeah, he's only. I mean, that's close enough.
Yeah, it's only 200 degrees off.
I just want to hear this again
because it can't, the ocean currents and everything.
Bro, I cannot listen to
what
the temperature again.
With how long-winded he is, you're right. I shouldn't.
Okay, because we don't know how long that plate is. We're looking at one place between Tonga and Fiji, okay, on the surface of the Earth going this way, okay, and so the plate's coming down like this, okay, from Tonga all the way to Fiji, okay, because Fiji's over here and Tonga's up here, and this is where the plate is subducting, okay, and who knows how wide it is this way, okay?
I do.
That's my point.
What? Wait, that's his point? Is that we don't know how wide it is?
Well, here you go. Here's all the information you need to which plate he's actually referring to. There you go.
It's very scientific, presentation, his hand movements.
It's the Kermadec plate that's subducting under the Australian plate.
But like he just literally just went on for so long about just the temperature in outer space and the temperature near the Titanic. And then he did the whole thing with his arm motions. And then at the end of all of that, he said, that was my point, is that I don't know how wide the plate is. Like, what the fuck?
But he said, we don't know, but it's the Kermadec plate. So how wide is the Kermadec plate? It's about 12,000 kilometers.
Yep. All right.
Is it really that difficult to figure out?
Considering yes.
Considering I saw that, it's Fiji, Tonga. Okay, let me get a topographic map of the world. Okay, I can see where that's subducting. Okay, he's talking about the Kermadec Trench. So I found exactly where he's talking about.
The wider it is this way,
voila.
the more it's going to distribute the heat across it. Okay.
Now, could cold
Now watch how much of the video he plays.
Be sitting down in 5,000 degree temperatures for millions of years?
It's not cold rock.
I just want to slap him. I'm sorry. I just.
Jeez, hope this guy doesn't have kids to watch over.
Want to slap some sense into him. Comparatively speaking, Dan, it's cold. Okay. You absolute moron. And this is why I call him Scam Man Dan. Is because again, he has no concept of physics. Okay. Physics.
Does this guy.
Cold doesn't mean freezing. You absolute moron. Okay.
Yeah.
I could stick my hand in this glass of water that I have, and it would feel cold compared to my hand. Okay? That doesn't mean that this is freezing water, Dan. It could be 50 degrees.
What?
But compared
Yeah.
to what my hand is, okay?
Uh-oh.
My hand is a lot warmer than the water.
That's how you wet
And
the bed.
again, if I were to take a noodle, okay, let's just do this, a lasagna noodle.
Uh-oh.
What the fuck is happening?
Okay, let me do this. A lasagna noodle. Okay, take a lasagna noodle. Okay, get yourself a small pot of water. Actually, or you can get yourself a big one. Okay, heat it up to boiling so that it's a rolling boil. Okay, it's at 212 degrees Fahrenheit, 100 degrees Celsius. Okay, it's boiling, rapidly boiling water. Okay, take that noodle. Okay, and when you feel that noodle, okay, if you stick your hand up over the pot, you'll feel the steam, and the steam's hot, right? Don't stick your hand in the boiling water; you'll scald yourself. Okay, I'm not going to be responsible for some idiot sticking their hand in water. Okay, I'm not saying that. But if you stick your hand over the steam, right, the steam is hot. Okay, take that noodle and stick it down into the water. Okay, just from the end. Okay. Stick it down into the cool water, or stick it down into the boiling water, count to 10, and then pull it out. Now, briefly touch the noodle. Okay?
I enjoy it when people briefly touch my noodle.
It won't have had time to melt. It won't have had time to get soft and soggy.
Melt?
Okay? But it is now warmer than the noodle above it. That's the point. It's not boiling.
Okay. I have to show something really quick, because this is the way that this guy, this is what he reminds me of, the way he explains things. I mean, well,
there must be the look of agony on my face because my cat is looking at me worryingly.
So probably go a little bit longer, but this is exhausting watching this guy. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Grayson, before I
was
again?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still just trying to wrap my head around what we're doing with this wet noodle.
Well, his whole thing is just claiming that Simon Dan doesn't understand temperature gradients, which he obviously does.
Well,
when you play the video 3 seconds at a time, you know.
It's like, instead of doing the math to show when a reasonable estimation would be for when an oceanic plate would equilibrate in temperature when surrounded by, like, the mantle, instead of actually crunching any of those numbers, he's like, just put a noodle in some hot water for 10 seconds, and then when you take it out, it will be warm. So, like, that's his math.
Yeah. Noodle math.
It's just a matter of apples and oranges.
But it is now
trying to make a comparison with.
Well, look, okay, Beamsy, you say that, but if oceanic plates were entirely made of noodle, you wouldn't be laughing then.
Well, the geologic column is kind of like a lasagna, in a way. If you think about it, like, it's got layers.
I'm going to go into the corner now and I'm going to go cry.
Now warmer than the other rock, okay? Than the other part of the noodle, which hasn't been submerged in water. And if you stick it back into the boiling water and leave it there, okay, then what'll happen is that it will eventually, as the noodle heats up, it gets soft, and then what happens? The other parts of the noodle will start to slip down into the water, okay, where they will become soft, because it'll slip down until it hits a solid, till it hits the bottom, where the noodle is still solid, because that portion of it is just entered the water.
I see what he's saying.
And that's the fucking point. What enters the boiling water does not instantly turn into boiling fucking shit.
Wait, so wait, I'm trying to understand. Okay, the point is that when you put a noodle in boiling water, the water does not instantly turn into boiling shit. That is the point?
Well, he's comparing the crust subducting to a noodle sliding into the pan. Like if you rested a lasagna noodle against the edge of a pan of boiling water, it would slowly sink into the water.
And where does the shit come in?
I don't want to know. You can. I don't want to know where that comes in. That's not in my recipe.
It comes off his chin.
It comes out of his mouth.
And I am sick and tired of people like Scam Man Dan who don't understand physics at all. It's not cold. It's not hot either. Because it's not no 5,000 degrees. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that it would not take, that in billions of years, that slab would have completely melted away.
Show me
it
the
would have
math.
become like the surrounding rock.
He just gave us a time frame, didn't he?
Yeah, but he didn't give us any math to support anything.
Yeah, and again, it wouldn't melt. It would actually become more dense.
And there is no fucking way that it can be that deep after billions of years.
I don't think Kent Hovind would appreciate this guy's language. You know he doesn't like cursing.
You can't fucking do it.
No way. That's not physically possible.
So there you go. Okay. That's under the East Coast. Okay. So like I said, out here on the West Coast, this is the Juan de Fuca plate right here. Okay. This is the one that's subducting underneath basically what is Washington State and a little bit of Oregon. Okay. And right about there, okay, a little bit south of that, okay, is the south end of Puget Sound. And that's where that rock is sitting down like this, and it is holding the Juan de Fuca plate in place, okay? And every once in a while, the plate moves around that rock a tiny bit, okay? And when it does, they get an earthquake because it's like a 9 down there, and it comes up and it's like a 6.8, I think, was the magnitude of that earthquake at that time, okay?
That's not how earthquakes work.
And what earthquake is he talking about? You ever been to Portland?
I've never been to the US.
Oh, Grayson, have you ever been to Oregon?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Beautiful state, Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to distract myself from having to mentally take in this video. I visited there one summer, and I remember driving along the roads where you would have trees on both sides of the road that they would like tower over the roads. I had never seen anything like that in Texas, because most of the roads here are just like ugly city streets, and I just thought that was amazing. Like driving through the forest, it was incredible.
You can see it pretty wooded in like East Texas or like Southeast Texas.
But with trees that tall, I guess are there forests in Texas?
Yeah, East Texas, man.
Okay, well, I've never been there.
East Texas, man.
Yeah, East Texas is a pretty big state, Texas is a pretty big state.
It might as well be a state. Well,
Texas is huge, but Alaska's bigger. Did you know that you can fit 11 Swedens into Alaska, or was it 13?
No, 13 UK and
Oh, okay.
4
Right.
Swedes or
That's right.
something. Yeah. Because we're big.
Well, welcome, guys, and Deviant Outcasts.
Hello. Hello.
But this graphic right here.
It just sounded like I got propositioned by someone that got big.
It's Sweden. We're coming to take you away. Haha.
Well, in my defense, I live in San Antonio, and the only thing we have here is you drive down the roads, and there's just shopping centers on both sides of the roads, and it's just ugly.
That's America. America.
Yeah.
That's why I was when I got back to San Antonio from Portland, I was like, it's so ugly here. Okay.
Oh, poor
I'm almost scared to hit play, but we're gonna hit play.
When were you in Portland?
Back in
there
like
is
2000
millions of tons.
Back in 2006,
Gotcha.
I went a summer vacation there.
Deviant
nice.
Outcast, which pharaoh is that in your profile pic?
Oh, that's Hatshepsut.
Oh, nice.
Yes, always.
All right, I'm gonna start the video.
Of cooler rock than the surrounding mantle. That's the point, Dan. It's cooler than the surrounding mantle. It may be 500 degrees centigrade, but it is not no 5,000. That's the point. So unless Dan doesn't understand temperature and how it works, okay? Because here's the thing about being an instrumentation technician like me, okay?
Oh.
You understand that you don't just flip on your heater or your air conditioner and then everything just magically cools down in 3 seconds. Temperature takes time, okay? You don't set a pot, a big, 3 or 4 quart pot of water on your stove, flip the dial to high, and then bam, it instantly heats up to 212 degrees right then and there. Bam, within a second. Temperature takes time. You absolute freaking moron. And I'm going to continue to call this guy Scam Man Dan because
I don't know.
Like, is he even like engaging with somebody here, or is he just flying off the?
He's
spout?
yelling by himself in
Wow.
his room.
My favorite thing. My favorite
That
thing
makes sense.
that Russell does is when he'll be watching a video, and he'll talk as if the person is in the room. Like he'll be like, so can you answer this question? And then he just does this long pause, and he's like, that's what I thought. It's like, you're watching a video. It's pre-recorded. Do you expect him to answer you?
And he's so passionate here. Like I feel like he's yelling at me.
I know he was swearing a lot earlier. I was saying I don't think Kent Hovind would appreciate this guy swearing.
I would be swearing
he
too if I
loves
had
Kent.
Hovind
Oh,
staring
that's
at me
okay.
from above.
I understand now. I get it now. Hey, Beamsy, how's it going?
Sorry, I'm doing math. I'm trying to figure out the required potential heat energy to melt down a slab of approximately 1.4 to the power of 16 meters cubed.
No, just
We're doing
listen to
math
the
all
guy
three.
yell. Just let him yell his point and accept it, because might
Yeah.
makes right. The louder
Well-
I yell, the righter I am.
What you
That's what
need
I
to
was
do,
thinking.
Beamsy, is convert that slab material into a single noodle to simplify your calculations.
Yes.
I can work it out as noodles, but I've already got the area. I just need to use the density of a noodle, which I don't actually know.
What are you, man? That's Geology 101, son.
That's lasagna 101.
Well, I can make a lasagna, but I can't get a density of it because I don't have a Newtonian meter around here anyway.
You don't know anything about physics.
My favorite quote from Russell, my all-time favorite quote from Russell is, "Theory is theory, son." Just love that one.
I've never seen this guy before. Like,
Oh,
what have I stepped into?
This channel is my
Another-
new. This channel is my
Is
new
this
hate
another-
watch addiction.
Yeah, how do you even know this guy? I mean, I just looked at his channel and he's been like posting 8 videos a day for like 3 years and has 100 subscribers.
Well, he did
What?
7. It's because of Creaky Blinders, so you can blame him because he did a 7-hour series about Creaky Blinder. So that's how I found his channel, and I just can't stop watching him because he just, I don't know. There's something about this channel. It just makes me laugh.
I was recently introduced to Mud Fossil. Is this one of those
Oh,
things?
Not quite. He's a hardcore Hovendite. Like, he repeats what Ken says verbatim, just louder.
Gotcha.
Yep.
And with more swearing.
Have you never seen this, Mark? You've never seen this
No.
guy?
No.
Ooh.
I
It's
think
a
he's an
treat,
up and comer.
or it's like,
What does that mean?
well,
I think you're going to see more response
if you're a
videos to this
sadist
guy.
or a masochist, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And because he doesn't even understand the basics of temperature. Just temperature, folks. Okay? And if he can't even understand the physics of temperature, he has no business trying to tell anyone what is hot or cold. Because, yeah, this slab of rock might be 500 degrees centigrade. I don't know. But it's not no 5,000, because if it was 5,000, it would not be a solid slab of rock.
I like the long stares into the camera. That's what I like.
Right? He makes it so personal. Like, he's staring into my soul right now.
That's the point, Dan. And I guarantee you, he's probably going to come back and go, well, those are probably 500 degrees Celsius too.
He's not going to come back at all, man. This video is going to get like 4 views.
Into the mantle of the earth is from catastrophic breaking up of the plates.
One of them is this view.
And literally getting subducted down.
I want to know who the poor guy that liked this video is. It was probably him. It was probably him.
I was saying, Russell, he did just hit 100 subscribers, so that's an accomplishment, I will say. But he has
milestone.
He has been doing YouTube. Let's see, how long has he been doing YouTube? Where's he? Isn't there an about tab? Where did YouTube? Did they hide the about tab?
Here, I'll just go to his oldest video. It was 5 years ago.
He made his channel a while ago.
His oldest video is from 5 years ago.
Yeah. So longer than my channel has been up.
And his first video is The Last Jedi 6 Fallacies Rebuttal.
Yeah. This guy probably hates Ghostbusters 2016.
Long. Yeah. Again, not cold.
Dude, shut up, Dan. Just saying not cold doesn't mean that it's 5,000 degrees. It may be hot to you, but it's not hot to the mantle. I mean, this is just the height of stupidity, folks. If you're sitting here and you're watching Slayman Dan,
yeah, it is.
Okay,
it really is.
And you have any lick of scientific understanding about what I've said about the physics of temperature.
Wow. Okay, I feel like we can power through this. We're almost done. I've almost watched this whole video, so I feel like I want to make it to the end.
Okay,
you can do it.
Well, yes, 500 degrees. 500 degrees C is pretty hot to us, right? Because it's 400 degrees past boiling water, right? But it's not 5,000 degrees.
I'm just imagining what do his neighbors think. Like, they just hear this, or is there anybody else in the house just?
I wonder about that sometimes when I'm in the heat of the moment with like Dustin Buck or Lupin or Missing Mod, because I get a little passionate, You know,
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna defend myself, and I have neighbors downstairs, and I just wonder, like, what are they thinking? Like, they must think I'm an insane person.
Yeah.
And so that means that if you were to stick something, like I said, like a noodle into boiling water, take a lasagna noodle, stick it into a big pot of boiling water, I guarantee you that the noodle doesn't become soft like that. It takes time, okay? And when you stick that noodle in, it takes time for that boiling water, okay, to actually, because here's another part of it. When you displace something like that, it actually cools the surrounding rock down, okay? That's why when you like take, let's say you take some like egg noodles, right? You have a pot of boiling water and you just dump in a whole bunch of egg noodles. The boiling stops for a second because you have just taken a whole bunch of cooler objects than the surrounding water, and you've thrown it in there, and it has actually cooled the water temperature down below the boiling point.
He literally
now,
already
it won't
made
take
this
very
example
long for the water to boil again. Why? Because A, you have
Beamsy. Did he not make this exact argument at the beginning of this video? You were here, right?
He's made the noodle example 3 times so far.
Yeah, we've gone from spaghetti noodles. Yeah, spaghetti noodles at the beginning to lasagna noodles, and now we're on to egg noodles. There might have been another one in there. But he
Like,
made
I
this
came
exact
in
argument.
really late. Can we start it over? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
have heat being generated from below, okay? But you also have the water is still has a lot, it retains a lot of its thermal properties, okay? And so the molecules are still moving very rapidly, so it doesn't take very long for that to heat back up and then continue to boil, okay? So the whole point is that when you displace that much rock that quickly, okay, it's going to, that rock coming in, okay, is going to displace and it's going to cool down the surrounding rock. So while the surrounding rock may not be, I mean, it's probably not, you know, it's not going to cool it down by, you know, magnitudes of 1,000, but it's going to cool it down some, okay? And so then it's going to take a while for that rock to heat back up from the surrounding rock, which is why we have all of those volcanoes right there, all of those atolls, like you see in Fiji and Bora Bora and all those, okay, Tonga and all those. That's why they're there, okay, is because when that plate subducted very quickly, it pushed a lot of that magma up into the crust, and the crust thinned down, and then that magma pushed forward, pushed up out of the floor of the ocean, and then created the islands that we see there today. Similar to how Hawaii is the hotspot, right? Or the hotspot's here, and then the big island of Hawaii is over it, and then Kilauea is here, and then the new one's down below it right here, okay? That's the point. But Dan is such an idiot that he doesn't even understand that when we talk about hot and cold, or heat and cool, okay, we're not talking about, oh, that rock is freezing. No, we're saying that rock is much, much cooler than the surrounding rock.
Can I
and
say
if Dan
something
can't
real
even
quick?
understand something,
There's really no hot and cold. There's a spectrum of heat and lack thereof. Like, it's one thing. It's not one or the other. But okay, that was kind of nitpicky, but
No, I was talking about this earlier. His explanation of heat was just, you know, you could go back and watch the replay of the video. It's insane, the stuff he says.
sure. Later. We don't have to do that now.
Yeah,
I see you're
yeah.
well into this.
Yeah.
something as simple as that, he has no business trying to debunk anything scientific because it shows his ignorance in actual science.
This catastrophic event of the plates moving extremely fast, continental sprint, did in fact happen, and they were rapidly subducted, these 10-mile thick pieces of rock.
Is that a
and if that
stadium
happened
cup?
today, that would cause a global flood. Imagine, just for a minute, if you
Oh,
had
no.
a 10-mile thick piece of rock that was broken up from the crust, that subducted. That's how we even get earthquakes, is by rocks and stuff sliding around and the crust of the earth sliding into different positions. That would have created another global flood if something like that happened today.
How can you be so clueless about geological processes and speak with such confidence?
I would ask the same thing of you, Dan. Because
I
honestly,
would
this guy
ask
is
the
the most
same
ignorant
thing of
person
you, Russ.
on the face of the earth when it comes to geology and the physics of heat. Because he hasn't proven anything in this video. He hasn't. I have given you more scientific evidence in my 3 videos than he has in 9 minutes and 12 seconds.
It's
And no
true.
math.
In fact, you got more from Matt Powell than you did from Dan.
It's true. I know now what will happen
That's
if
saying
I stick
something.
a noodle into
So
some
Dan,
boiling water.
I'll pose the question.
It sounded like he was insulting Matt Powell there. He was like, "You got more. You got more scientific evidence from Matt Powell there. That's saying something." Okay.
You can now feed an entire family for a year. That's how much science I've given you.
Noodle.
Question to you. How can you be so clueless about geology, physics, chemistry, biology, and
Cooking.
speak with such confidence?
I
Would
don't
you like to
know
know the
Why don't you
answer?
Tell us.
Beats me. Well, I think we'll leave Matt there.
And I think we'll leave Dan there because we are just over an hour, and I wanted to make sure that we got done with this video because, honestly, this really boils my blood. It's one thing.
Boils my noodles.
Wait, yeah, what if you put a noodle in his boiling blood?
Oh,
His
wow.
blood is
Would,
ragu.
would it get soft instantly?
Well, the maths are now all
No,
done. I
did you not
figured-
learn anything, Matt? It's not instant.
Then why are they called instant noodles?
Oh,
Right.
well, you didn't mention
Nobody
ramen.
tell him. Nobody tell him about instant noodles.
Oh shit.
He will literally yell at you for 6 hours if you bring up instant noodles. This man.
Oh
Yeah,
my
and-
goodness.
Well, I finished the mathematics of what would the time it would require for that plate to actually go molten.
And
7.5 to the power of 21 seconds.
Is that instant?
Yes.
This man's blood is his blood type is ragu.
If you want to sit there and say, hey, we know evolution's a thing. We know that this works. We know this. We know that. Sure, you have a theory on that. But son, if you're listening to Dan and you're thinking, wow, this guy knows a lot. He don't know jack. Okay? He don't know jack squat about anything. Okay? Because I gave you more. In fact, just in this video, in this hour-long video, I have given you more science than Dan's probably given in the history of his entire channel.
And tinnitus.
Okay? Just because I understand different things about science more than Dan ever could.
That's one way of putting
And
it.
look, I'm not saying that Dan can't debunk certain flat earthers and talk about certain experiments that are going on and doing stuff like that. But if you're going to come after people who have studied geology, who have studied physics, who understand rock subducting, cool slabs, you'd think that he would do a tiny bit of research. And this is the difference between Dan and Creaky. At least Creaky tries to do some kind of research to make himself a little bit more knowledgeable about a subject before he tries to tackle them. Okay? It doesn't always work, but at least he doesn't make himself into a big of a fool as Dan does.
Shout out Creaky.
Because honestly, this is my, like, what, 4th or 5th debunk of Dan so far? And I have owned him on every single subject. I shouldn't do that, honestly.
What?
I shouldn't be able to do that if he's
Wait.
Sci-Man Dan.
Oh.
Okay? Because he should have the scientific knowledge to be able to back up what he's trying to claim. But he's not. He's literally standing there, and his biggest comeback is, oh, the rocks are 500 degrees C, so, yeah, they're not cold. But they're not 5,000, Dan. That's the point.
Well, if you're looking,
And if you can't even
chat,
understand,
I've just given you the answer in years, so that's instantaneously, isn't it?
I guess so.
On a geological scale, absolutely.
How many zeros is that?
Yeah, wasn't your answer like in years still like hundreds of billions?
It's in the chat right now. It's
in the private
it's
chat?
A lot of, no, it's just in your YouTube chat.
Comments.
Ah, okay. Well, only I got 1 minute left, so.
Dan, a simple concept as 5,000 is greater than 500, you're an idiot, okay? And you have no business. You're such an ignoramus that you have no business whatsoever trying to debunk anybody. So smash that like button, hit subscribe, drop a comment below, let me know what you thought of this video series, and as we say, we will see you on the next one.
No.
Okay, AJ, I apologize, but I have the only comment on this video.
Should I like it? What do you guys think?
Dislike.
Boom.
Ratio.
Ratio.
And I have
Okay.
sent him your way, so I apologize. He's gonna be screaming at you about noodles.
Oh, I would love to do a debate with this guy, or I would love to see you debate him, Grayson. Wow.
Well, listen, okay, I don't think that I'm prepared for someone with as much knowledge of geology, biology, chemistry, physics, noodles as this guy.
So I may have misspoke earlier. I just saw the calculation in the chat and I converted it to years. I broke up there for a little bit, so I didn't hear the years, but 84 billion years, is that about right?
Oh no, the answer in chat is in years.
I saw the 7.5411 to the 21st power, and that's a lot of years. That's not a short amount of time at all.
No, that's in seconds to 7.5.
Right.
But if you look further down, I gave the answer in years as well.
I'm not
seeing it. Okay. I haven't seen it either.
It's about 7 seconds, 7.5 seconds.
To the power of 21.
Yeah, well, yeah, to the power of 21. That's quite a lot.
So that's a lot of seconds.
It's
Yeah,
84
we're not
billion
seeing it.
years.
We're not seeing your comment of it in years. Oh, there it is in the private chat. I don't even know how many. Let's see.
Yeah, put that in the public chat. So I can see the
100,000,
screen.
million, billion. Oh, so only like 239 trillion.
So it's far off, pretty far off from instant.
Yeah.
23 trillion years.
Wow.
That's a lot of years. That is a lot of years.
And thank you guys for tolerating this guy with me, especially Beamsy has been here from the beginning. So I hats off to him.
Beamsy is a
Beamsy,
trooper.
you did successfully incorporate the proper noodle density into that calculation.
Oh no, that's using rock and water density. If I actually did noodles, it would probably be worse.
See, that was your big mistake, though, is that you forgot to factor in the noodles.
The worst part is that's only with
noodles?
that's only a 5% water density. The average water density is 25%, which is going to make that number even bigger.
Whew, well, I am going to end the stream now. You guys are welcome to stay in the offline, but because this stream has been exhausting. Watching I watched the whole video, made it through. Thank you to Beamsy, and thank you especially to Grayson for hopping in and everybody. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'm just going to end it here.